Hello, everyone. Welcome to Team Pearl's discussion on GM China and their alliance. We will discuss the GM China's history, the characteristics of the alliance between GM and Shanghai, the success of the GM Shanghai alliance, the Rio framework, and ways to combat opportunism in the China market. As we all know, General Motors is one of the world's largest automakers, and SAIC Motor Corporation Limited, formerly known as Shanghai Automotive Industry Corporation, is a Chinese state-owned automotive design and manufacturing company headquartered in Shanghai, China, with multinational operations. The General Motors-China relationship dates back more than 9 decades. Currently, GM has 10 joint ventures in 2 wholly owned foreign enterprises, as well as more than 58,000 employees in China. Here is a list of GM's 10 joint ventures. GM, along with its joint ventures, offers the broadest lineup of vehicles and brands among automakers in China. Products are sold under the Buick, Cadillac, Chevrolet, Baojun, Wuling, and Zhifang nameplates. General Motors and its joint ventures sold more than 4 million vehicles in China for the first time in 2017. Today, China remained GM's largest market in terms of retail sales for the 5th consecutive year. The relationship between SAIC and GM have been strong and thriving, with both companies aiming for the same goal of dominating and controlling the car market in China. It was GM's strategy to partner with SAIC to be able to manage business in China, where conditions are increasingly challenging as global automakers and local manufacturers jostle for market share and must contend with government regulation. The 2 companies teamed up to produce full range of vehicle models and designs for the local industry and paved the way for the Asian market at large. GM aimed at tapping the potential market in China about cars, and SAIC aimed at assessing the technology GM had to diversify their production. Though the 2 companies have had their difference, they rely on each other to be able to sustain themselves in the market. In the summer of 1996, GM won a $1 billion contract to build Buick sedans in partnership with the Shanghai Automotive Industry Corporation. GM established an office in Shanghai a few months later. This was just the beginning of the most significant joint venture in the automotive industry thus far. By studying local consumers, developing vehicles to suit local needs, and benefiting from the country's economic stimulus incentives, GM has reaped success in China. Since forming the alliance in 1996, GM and SAIC have experienced tremendous success. Another joint venture was established in China in 1997 between GM and SAIC, and this was Pan Asia Technical Automotive Center. This was the first joint venture technical center developed in China. The technical center has become a core advantage for GM Shanghai. According to GM Corporate Newsroom, since its first car came off the line in December 1998, SAIC GM has sold over 14 million vehicles. China became the world's largest new vehicle market for the first time in 2009. Sales have continued to skyrocket in China, and in 2012, China became GM's largest market. According to a December 2017 article in Business Insider, General Motors sells 70% more cars in China than in the U.S. GM China's president, Matt Sheehan, has predicted that car sales in China will be about 30 million vehicles by 2020. 2 main components that are driving the success of this venture between GM and SAIC are lower production costs and skyrocketing sales in China. There are many reasons that the venture between SAIC and GM have been successful. Some of the reasons are forming joint ventures with local producers, localization, innovation, and use of U.S. and Chinese taxpayer money. Local partnerships are important for companies that open operations in foreign companies, and this is especially true in China. Local partners in China is important because many of these partners have close ties to the Communist Party, which determines who will be in what business and for how long. Localization has been important because some of the Buick, Chevy, and electric cars have been designed for sales in China. GM has started to follow China's commercialization strategy, and they are putting products into the market sooner than they would have in the US. GM has used US taxpayer money to develop designs and technology for new vehicles. They also utilize Chinese taxpayers' money to pay for rebates that the government offered as incentives for car buyers. GM has received an advantage in China without having to pay for it on its own. We are now going to discuss how Rio Framework established within the GM Alliance in Shanghai. First, what is Rio Framework? Rio Framework is the evaluation of competitive potential of an internal resource based on value, rarity, imitability, and organization. To capitalize this success in the global market, GM Shanghai has incorporated the Rio Framework to ensure it keeps strategically well positioned to offer its auto products including cars, trucks, and other brands of the motor vehicle. In the breakdown of the Rio Framework, here is how the framework is established under the GM in Shanghai. Under value, GM operations in Shanghai is driven by value and outstanding brand positioning to compete other vehicle manufacturers who have interest in the Shanghai market. Under rarity, this refers to the unique and competency building. GM develops the most innovative and well-differentiated auto products to fit the varying needs of consumers in the region. Under imitability, the GM brand is exceptional with unique designs and innovations. Many companies are unable to cope with the company's way of conquering and dominating the global motor industry. Under organization, the GM presence in Shanghai is a form of strategic positioning and subsidiary marketing. Shanghai is a leading subsidiary of GM Motors in China and Asian regions. Doing business in the Chinese market is quite challenging. In order for GM to combat opportunism in the Chinese market, they can protect the critical capabilities and skills that they do not want to risk being used by the Chinese competitors. They can maintain their trade secrets by only allowing GM personnel to build certain components. Another option is to swap critical capabilities with each other. If both sides are sharing their techniques and secrets, there will be a more trusting relationship formed. The more trusting a relationship is in an alliance helps to minimize the risk of opportunism. In conclusion, the relationship between GM and Shanghai is continuing to grow and is expected to get better as sales in China are expected to triple by 2025. Now let's discuss, what do you think will determine successful performance from the alliance? Please share your thoughts and hope you enjoyed this presentation. Thank you.